everybody? Today is Wednesday, September 19th, 2018. It's MMAjunkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I'm Goz, that's Dan, voice here in your head, Danny Okers. Guys, you've forgotten what day it is, right? That's happened? You don't kind of go like, hey, it's today Wednesday or Tuesday? You never do that?
I always do that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think that's pretty normal.
Uh,
Have you guys ever forgotten what month it was?
No, I mean, writing down the wrong month, I think we all do that. But
Not like to the point where you're like, somebody please tell me what month it is, but like just write quickly at the moment. Are you ever like, wait a minute, is it July? Or
I have
June?
legitimately forgotten how old I am.
That's happened to me too. But yesterday I couldn't remember what year we were in. I thought we were still in 2017. Somebody told me it was 18, and I was like, word?
Somebody told me we weren't in the 90s the other day, and I was really confused.
Yeah, dude. Dan needed a reboot when that guy told him it's not the 90s. You're just sitting there.
I'm just glad somebody picks up like all. I'm just glad somebody finally picks up that all my references are like have a date cap to them. Like, hey, you ever know?
Yesterday, like Dan's got the 90s covered, but I think Richard was like 80s guy yesterday.
Oh
right?
yeah,
So
Richard reaches deeper.
Those.
Yeah, Richard reaches deeper. I appreciate it though.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goz, our ace co-host. To my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Back east, producing, like he always does, it's Danny Otto. What's up, guys? Happy hump day.
What's up?
What's up?
What happened?
I hate that term.
Looks like you went to Ollie on a skateboard.
Hump day?
Yeah.
The board got away from you.
The commercial from Geico kind of brought it back a little bit, made it funny.
The camels?
Yeah. I'm all right. Well, whatever. Happy hump day.
Thank you. Happy hump day.
I'm curious why he doesn't like hump day. I worked many years in construction, so hump day was one of those normal things that always got tossed around, and you're like, yeah, hump day.
I just didn't like the look on the person's face that I would always say it. Like, I think they said it thinking it's kind of cute and funny. You know, like when somebody got hit in the nuts and they would go, oh, that's gotta hurt. That was funny a couple times, but then after that, it's like, shut up. I think that's what hump day happened for me.
Well, when you come through the office environment like I did for 10 years, it's kind of like you're casting the line.
You had a lot of characters back then.
Happy hump day, and you're waiting for that one girl to go, that's my favorite day or something. You're like, oh, okay.
No one was waiting
There
for
we
that,
go.
George.
We're headed there. We're headed in that direction at a happy hour or something. And the ones that just go hi, or something like that. Oh, okay. You got a significant other or whatever.
Can I tell?
And then guys are always like, oh yeah, you got a story. Oh yeah, the secretary. Whatever. But yeah.
Can I tell a story
Please.
about something you did at where you used to work? That place, that office place.
Yeah.
And then you just stop me if it's a story you can't tell.
Okay.
Well, one time, George left for lunch. Okay, I used to work in the same building as him, and there were probably like, I don't know, 300 people on that floor? 200 maybe?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
So one day George leaves for work with a couple people, and then calls me and says, "Hey, I'm too drunk to come back right now. I'll explain later. Just tell our boss, who I don't even know if we could say who it was back then.
Sammy the Squid.
Sammy the Squid. Or somebody. No, it might not have been Sammy the Squid. I had to tell somebody else something. And then he just kind of left it at that.
Mm-hmm.
But he left for lunch, like the way anybody would just normally leave for lunch. And then like 40 minutes later, he's like, "Dude, I'm smashed. I can't come back to work." And then what you ended up doing? Do you remember what you ended up doing?
I think we went to Boomers, right?
Yeah, it was go-karts and shit.
Yeah.
I could hear like noise in the background. I was like, what kind of lunch is this? What the hell did he do?
So what happened was our friend that moved to Vegas, she had a court date. And I think things didn't go well or something like that. So it was me and her and another girl named Erica. And we were just having a lunch, and then I think they said something like, she just said, "Oh, I'm having a rough day," telling him about court or something. And the guy goes, "Well, you guys need a drink." And so we all looked at each other like, "Yeah, we can do one," and then head back to work. No one will notice. Put some mint in your mouth. He must have made him strong, because for some reason, I think he just came back and goes, "Round 2," and he just put him right down, you know? And I don't think any of us said, "We'll take another one," or anything, or I don't know. We were dressed like we were, you know, workers who were going back to lunch. Back to work at some point. It didn't look like anybody, like the tie wasn't loose or anything like that. No, you know, it wasn't like, "Oh yeah, we're taking a half day." I don't know. Just somehow another round of drinks. So I don't know if she ordered it or what. And so another round of drinks, we got it, and then next thing you know, more than anything, it hit her quickly. And so now we're like, holy shit, if she goes back to work, she could get fired. Like, this is not a good thing. And so a lot of it was to avoid her from coming back. Now, did it take two of us? No. Either I could have babysitted or Erica could have babysitted, and the other one could show it. But except we were all in one car. So I think I ran it by Squid, and he goes, "Okay, just don't come back," or something like that. And so then no, but I couldn't get to Squid at that moment, so I think I had to tell Squid I ain't coming back. And then I told Squid what happened, but I also didn't want to put her business out to you to have to tell to someone else.
That Busta girl sent me a text, and it just said, "Your brother says he's the king of go-karts," or something like that. And I was like, where the fuck is he?
So,
what kind of a lunch is this?
So what we needed to do was just sober up, and we were thinking of going back, like maybe just we're running a little bit late, the flat tire excuse or something. And I think we work was back in that area, so they were buzzed and let's do this. Okay, so we went there, and they serve alcohol, and we just kept going all afternoon. Yeah,
I remember that.
So we were technically drinking and driving, except they were go-karts. But at lunch I think I may have had 1.5, 2, I don't know. I was safe to drive there to the go-kart place, but we just didn't want to bring her back to work drunk. That was the whole point of it. It's not like the job was tough or, you know. I mean, it sucked, but
it wasn't bad.
Yeah, but that was the story. Yeah, the office environment was a lot of fun back in the day.
There was a lot of people like that, though. Happy Hump Day people.
Yeah,
Paycheck
exactly.
Poker.
Paycheck Poker, yeah.
Oh, God. I had that guy, Wayne. Remember the weird guy? One day, he just decides to move everything and put it on my desk.
He looks like one of those guys that is from that show, The Office.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. That guy. I know who you're talking about.
What's the guy from The Office's name? That's really weird. Dwight Schrute. That's who that guy reminds me of. Why did Dwayne do that, or Wayne, or whatever his name was?
He's just crazy. He didn't
like you, so he moved stuff on your desk?
No. Okay, so there's an area, picture that desk over there, where it has just a bunch of baskets where you would put papers in, right? Like 8 of them. And you would walk all the way over there, and you would put it there when you were done with an order. One day I show up to work, and all of the baskets are now on my desk.
Why?
Because he didn't want to walk all the way over there, because he had diabetes. That was his thing. And he didn't want to walk all the way over there, so he just decided to put them on my desk. So I just picked them up, and I moved them back. Then he freaked out.
But what was his... He just thought you should put up with all that shit on your desk, or was he trying to relocate you?
That was his explanation. And so I told him, I go, first of all, I don't know who did this. Now I know it's you. I go, I don't understand why my desk is the one that got.
Yeah, why couldn't you put him on his own desk?
Yeah, exactly. Why couldn't you? I don't mind walking there. It's just right around the corner. That's fine. And I can't remember what bullshit excuse he gave me, but he was so mad. He started screaming, and then he ran into that gym guy's office. Then they pulled me in, and I had to have a meeting over this. But I was just like,
really?
How stupid is this?
I picture a
Like,
guy
in what world?
Screaming, running into an office.
This guy did look like Dwight Schrute. And the only thing we ever bonded on was he was a very big Laker fan. But other than that, he would just flip out over the
How'd they settle this?
They ended up moving it back, and he hated me after that.
I bet.
But did Jim tell you, hey, don't sweat it, you're not in any way in any trouble?
He said, you're not in any trouble. He goes, this guy's really weird. I get it. He goes, just don't worry about it. I'm like, don't worry about it. He just fucking flipped out in front of like 200 people over this. Can you imagine if a real issue were to arise?
Jesus.
So this could be a postal guy?
Maybe. You never know.
I'm wondering. I worked with a lot of crazy people, and I think I told you guys the chili story and hijacking a guy's chili the other day. But like, if I brought in like a guy, Bob, who I used to work with, who I thought about this yesterday. We were adjusting cameras and working on our special projects here, guys. But he would probably just tell you stories like how I drove him crazy. Like I was probably that weird guy, in other words, that goes, or you would describe in a story. Like I'm thinking how many times I was that guy. Like
what was the chili story?
This guy Wild Bill, who looks like if you imagine Wild Bill, that's who Wild Bill is. Okay, if you imagine a guy with
Wild Bill Hickok, the gunslinger.
If you imagine a guy with a long mustache and maybe a little balding on the top,
Wild Bill, the gym teacher,
I don't know.
Hair going long and hair going long.
I don't know if he's a TV character or what.
Pot belly. I'm talking like this. I'm Wild Bill. Like every stereotype of someone with a name with Wild Bill, like he owns every stereotype associated with that name. And he would brag about. He's an old tank driver in like the military, and he would brag about his chili. Like, I got 3 mean chili. I got red pepper chili. I got doing that thing that you guys hate. Like they're just talking up their game, right?
Oh,
just talking it up, right? And finally, it was time to pay the piper. It was the company potluck, right? I'm sure you had a lot of company potlucks in your day.
Oh, fuck. Birthdays, potlucks, going away, divorces.
Yeah, and unless they were a good cook, you never want to be around the person that was too excited to bring what they had because you know they're going to make you try it. And it could have onions in it or some other trap that me and George maybe wouldn't like.
Yeah, you don't like onions, too.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We got to watch out for that. And so Bill brings his chili, and he has it in his, it looks like a complete pedo van, right? Like, just the doors falling off, terrible van, and no locks on it. So while he's painting a unit, me and my buddy Lewis, we grab the chili and we take it. We're kind of shepherds of the yard and stuff. So we had access to places others weren't. So we went back to the boss's trailer where we were prepping for the potluck, and we didn't tell them that we stole Bill's chili, but we left a note for Bill that said we wanted $10,000 if he wanted to see, or $1,000 if he wanted to see his chili back, and we wrote 1,00.00. And sure enough, he flips out. He's like, he flips out once he notices his chili's gone, and we're chilling in the office with the bosses, and we all have walkie-talkies, and all of a sudden the walkie-talkie comes through, and it's Wild Bill. He's like, "These bastards! Someone stole my chili!" He didn't get to it. He was just freaking out and cursing first, and the bosses they didn't know we stole the chili, so they're thinking somebody got cut on the job site. They're like, "Bill, slow down! What's going on?" He's like, "They stole my chili!" And the boss is like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" And me and my buddy Lewis are trying to keep a straight face, just watching it unfold from both sides. And he goes, "These bastards!" He's like, "Who stole your chili?" He's like, "I don't know, but they left a note." "What does it say, Bill?" "I don't know, but they want $100,000.
Wild Bill's not good with numbers.
And they had him try to read it back, and what we discovered was Wild Bill couldn't read, and he was illiterate. And it just made so much sense for all the stories that he told, so it was kind of great to just pull a prank and watch it.
Did he flip out on you when he found out?
Well, he came to the potluck all kind of kicking dirt like a kid, just upset, hand in hat, and lo and behold, his chili was there waiting for him. All was good.
Was it any good?
Wasn't that great?
No.
It was really soupy. I didn't like it.
You don't like soupy chili?
I like
soupy chili.
I'm a more of a thick, chunky,
with beans
sweet,
or without?
Oh, kidney beans, and this
Ooh,
really sticks to the chili dog. Whereas a soupy one doesn't stick, and it's like soup unless you got something to dip in and you really know what you're doing.
I make it soupy, but I put it in a bread bowl, so the bread bowl absorbs some of the soupy.
Okay, well it can't be too soupy if you put it in a bread bowl, and it's you cooking it, so I would trust it.
But if it's too soupy, isn't it just almost a salsa at that point?
Well, I usually have it over something, so over some rice or something. To absorb some of the soupy.
I actually can get you guys my favorite chili because it's frozen. And
What?
I know Martin Stabilo, if he's listening, is his tail's wagging. He knows where I'm going with it. Zippy's chili. It's my favorite Hawaiian chili. It's really thick. It's really good. It's got some black kidney beans in there, but it really makes the chili. They have a vegetarian version too. They sell it at a couple stores out here, but I've been meaning to grab some. I'll grab some extra ones and toss them your guys' way.
So even frozen and shipped all the way from Hawaii, it's still good?
Oh yeah, it's still way better. Yep. All you do is take no onions. No.
Damn, I want chili now.
And the vegetable one, the vegetable option though does have onions, which I don't go with the vegetable one, so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, and I'll drop off a pack of that and some hot dogs that are supposed to go with it. Redondo's, the red kind.
Redondo.
Yeah.
That's the brand.
It's the brand,
Okay.
Redondo.
What's up with Redondo from Maryland? Used to call the show all the time.
Jiu-jitsu now, and
He's taking jiu-jitsu? Is he still a comedian?
I don't know. I don't know if he still does that. Yeah, I haven't talked to him for a while.
All
Good
right.
kid, though. I miss that guy.
Yeah, me too. Champions Leagues today. You'll hear about that throughout the year. Well, it was yesterday too, and it's today. Those are the best teams in Europe playing soccer. But here's why I bring it up. I know a lot of you are like, oh, I hate soccer. Well, I don't. So Man United plays today, and I can only watch it on Bleacher Report Live. Wait. Well, yeah, they're called Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report Live, which is the streaming service for Bleacher Report, or Univision HD. Guys, what has become of television?
It's getting worse and worse.
So then I go, okay, what does all this mean? Because I already know I have to get DAZN.
Yep.
I have to get ESPN Plus.
Me too.
We have Netflix. We have UFC Fight Pass. But somehow, wasn't one of those supposed to replace DirecTV and cable? But we can't.
Sling TV is
but we can't replace cable because it's connected to our internet. And if you call them and you go, "Hey, how much is my cable bill?" They'll go, "It's $110 and you get internet." Okay, I don't want the cable. Just give me the internet. All right, it's $100. Right? It's like something stupid like that.
Really, really dumb.
Where you're basically forced to just go, all right, I might as well keep the cable. So now I haven't gotten rid of that. And then DirecTV you need for all these different packages because we like so many sports, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, so get this. Univision Deportes is part of Fubo. And I see all those commercials for Fubo. I go, well, let's see what this is about.
I think we have that.
Fubo?
Yeah.
We ain't got no Fubo.
On DirecTV, I think we have that.
Fubo?
I'm almost positive I've seen it says it in the left-hand corner. It's in like those Spanish channels, right?
Oh. Maybe I get bailed out then. But anyway, as I'm looking, I'm going to be so pissed if we already have this. But I'll tell the story anyway. So I go and Univision HD, it sounds like something you can get directly or through Fubo. I look at Fubo, it says free 7-day trial. I go, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually do it and cancel on the 6th day. I always forget. And I always get stuck with a month or two before I figure it out. But I'm going to do it this time. And you still have to get your credit card and you still have to commit to the part that says once your 7 days are over, what do you do now? It's $29.95 or $39.95. Wait, $39 or $49? And you get all these channels. I'm like, I already got all those channels. I just want the one game. I don't even care about Bleacher Report Live.
Yeah.
I just want this one game. So then I go to Bleacher Report Live, and this pissed me off just as much, but it's far cheaper. You want the game? $2.99. Just the game.
Oh.
And then we part ways. And I'm thinking, okay, but that's not TV. Like, that's, I don't know. I don't like that, man. That didn't sit well with me. I'll probably wind up doing it because I want to watch the game. I'm going to watch it on my computer, not on the 60-inch TV, not on the couch, like I want to. But I guess I'm only on the hook for $2.99. I don't have to do the 7-day trial and exchange the credit card info or whatever. But it makes me mad. So my question to you two, which I don't think you guys are going to be very helpful, but more to Junkie Nation geeks out there that listen. Tell me about Hulu and YouTube Red and Fubo. I wrote them down somewhere.
Fubo
I know
keeps making
this.
me laugh.
Which one of those, like, the zone, like, do I have to get them all? Is
Yes.
that the trap kind of?
It depends.
Netflix.
Because here's what happens is certain shows, right? Say you like Seinfeld, right?
Right.
Seinfeld will sign a contract with Netflix. You can only see Seinfeld on Netflix. That's why they tell you, pay us $10, and look, you get Seinfeld, right?
What is the deal
But what
with
if you're a
Netflix?
fan of Friends? Well, Friends just happened to sign their deal with Hulu. So now you're like, fuck, well, I really like Friends too, so I guess I got to get Hulu. That's how they do it. So now they come up with their original programming. If you want to watch it, you got to get them. That's why YouTube
and
Red
Netflix
is
original programming is Narcos.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we had the food draft. That all these streaming services are drafting like, oh, well, we want Simon.
YouTube Red is Karate Kid, right?
Right.
Sometimes you only want just one thing out of there, but they're hoping they can hook you with more of their
HBO's
stuff.
got the
What I don't
Wire.
understand is like people like our parents. How are they going to be able to do all? They can't do this. They're just
It
used to turning
sucks,
TV on
man.
and
I
off.
can't even get my
I
mom
just
to do
want
Netflix.
one damn game is all I want. That's all I want is the one damn game. And I don't think I'm going to watch Univision after that. I don't think I need it, and I just want to watch the one game. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think I need Hulu because I think I get by with Netflix.
Hulu has some good stuff, but you know what? Honestly, this is how you do it.
Sign
You
up
just
for
have
7 days
a couple buddies. I get Netflix. You get Hulu. We just exchange passwords.
dude.
Because you're allowed to have like a couple.
Hardest part of some of my breakups, man, having to give up that code.
Yeah.
I may have cheated and went back a couple times to watch a thing or two, maybe, but in a small time frame. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. You know, I wonder more MMA centric. I wonder if it'd get to the point where any of us MMA media guys start getting like tagged on our write-offs. Even Uncle Sam starts going, "Wait, how many events are you covering that you need this, that, this? Are you trying to pull one
Well,
over?" Like,
dude,
no,
I
we're
pass.
actually not. We're actually
It never
gonna
ends.
need these.
Well, I get confused with like HBO Go and Fox Sports on the go and
Okay.
this. That all you have to do is say, well, I'm a DirecTV subscriber, and you give me your info and you get it.
Yeah, that's just part of your package. All that is if you want to watch HBO and you're not at home and you want to watch it on your phone or your laptop, HBO Go, right?
Why can't I just go on HBO.com and hit Sopranos?
You can do that too.
I can?
Yeah, it just takes longer.
Why?
Because it's dumb. It's more of a website.
Yeah, all right.
Um,
Now,
HBO
when I'm at Big
goes like
Ralph's,
their blue
I turn
corner.
on the TV, and he's got Apple TV. And I
Yeah.
have a bunch of options of what I can do. Is that the best thing to have? Or are the Roku people going to say, no, it's us? And what the fuck is a Fire Stick?
Okay.
I forgot about it. Amazon
Yeah,
Prime
yeah.
was another one.
We'll break these down.
Fire Stick pisses
For my
me off.
40th
Who's that guy
birthday,
on the line?
that's Danny.
Okay.
For my 40th birthday, I made a list of 40 things that people don't know about me. One of them is I don't know what the fuck a Fire Stick is. So there you have my answer on that.
Yeah, me
As far as
too.
Apple TV, all it does is it takes all those apps and just puts them in one place. So now you don't have to go individually. Danny knows what a Fire Stick is.
Wait.
You're not one of
What
those
does Apple
Fire Stick
TV do?
people, are you, Danny?
So you just load apps on there. It's like your phone, right? You have all these apps. And instead of having to go individually, like they're just all there. So you just click them and
But
they
they
all
don't
go
give
to
you
your
additional
TV.
programming.
Apple TV, no.
And Roku is the same as Apple.
Roku, I think, is the same as like. Danny, you want to take that one?
Yeah, no shit. Help me out here. If you shut up, you would have given me just as much info as you just did right now.
Answer this goddamn
Of course,
question.
Apple goes with Apple products. I'm saying, is Roku a competitor to Apple? Well, he told me more right there on that silence than he did on the first answer.
I think what he said was Roku would be like Google's version. of
Okay,
it.
there you go. He didn't say that. So Roku and Apple is the same thing.
I think.
Okay, Hulu and Netflix are the same thing. They're
Yeah.
competing with each other. What is Fubo TV?
That I don't know.
They're the competitor of Sling TV.
I thought Fubo TV was just. I thought Fubo was a network. Because I swear when I go through those channels, I see that logo on the bottom. I thought.
You know what Fire Stick reminds me of, guys? Because I felt like we all got the same visceral reaction. Remember the episode of The Simpsons where Milhouse passes a note to Nelson on Lisa's behalf, and he thinks that the "I love you" is from Milhouse and not from the girl Lisa. The next scene is Milhouse getting wheeled out to an ambulance. Like I feel that way anytime someone comes up and says, "Oh, you should just use a Fire Stick." I feel like the next smash cut is that person getting wheeled out in an ambulance, and I'm just wiping it off my knuckles like. That's my reaction every time someone suggests, "Oh, it's just easy, just get a Fire Stick. That solves all that." I'm like, "What the fuck is a Fire Stick?"
I had a feeling you
People
three would
carry
help
it
me
around.
out with this one. What's
Hey,
that?
I think we did pretty well.
Hey, we
'Cause you
co-signed
thought
the
we were
Fire
going to give
Stick.
you shit.
Yeah,
we gave you a lot of answers.
Okay, you admitted that you didn't know what a Fire Stick was.
I don't know what Fire Stick.
Dan told a story that got saved at the end by the Knuckles story. And Andy, what's his name? Danny? He says
Andy.
Apple TV works good with Apple products.
Yeah.
All this light was shed.
Yep.
What are you talking about? You asked me what the hell Hulu was. I told you what Hulu was. I told you about Netflix and the deals and HBO Go. What more do you want from me?
I'm good at explaining.
Who am I, fucking Bill Nye?
What I want is for someone to go, look at your phone. And then I look at it and says, press that, and I'm watching the game at noon. That's what I want.
Oh. Well, I did tell you we might actually have the channel.
Huh?
Fubo.
Fubo?
We might actually have it.
I know, but the game starts when the show ends here. On today's show, by the way, we will be talking to Joe Warren. Joe Warren, former Bellator featherweight champion and bantamweight champion. He had his second fight against Kid Yamamoto. The significance of it is Kid Yamamoto had a great career where he was a highly ranked lighter weight class fighter. And the reason I phrase it that way is because back then we didn't really distinguish too much. Like, we would say the lightweights, and we knew there was a featherweight and a bantamweight class over at WEC, and I think Tachi Palace had the best 25ers, but it didn't have the attention it has now. So he was just regarded as one of those guys, lighter weight class guy that could whoop ass. And that's exactly what it was an ass whooper. But he ran into Warren, and then after that, if you look at his record, he fell on some hard times. But you know, I wanted to talk to someone who shared the cage and the ring with Kid Yamamoto, and I thought Joe Warren was a good one. Joe Warren's often talked about how difficult his career was because he had to fight great fighters right out of the start. Chase Beebe was actually his first fight, and he was a WEC champion.
Yep.
And then Kid Yamamoto was a Heroes Tournament champion and with a 17-fight win streak, and then from then on it just went. So we'll talk to Joe Warren. Plus, he's always great to talk to. We'll catch up with him in about 30 minutes. We're going to catch up with Big Pretty in about 5 minutes. That's Justin Willis. Can you believe he doesn't have a fight yet? He's been chirping a little bit on social media.
I thought maybe he was hurt, but he's been healthy.
He's healthy. He's healthy and ready to go, and I want to see him fight. So we're going to have him on in about 5 minutes. And we'll talk to Adam Piccolotti as well. He's going to be fighting at the end of the month at Bellator 206. 205 is on September 21st, but on September 29th, it's Bellator 206. Adam Piccolotti will be on that card versus James Terry. All right, so if anybody has any help in regards to Fubo and Bleacher Report Live and Univision HD, that's where I get to watch some team called Young Boys. Calm down, Dan. Against Manchester United. And I want to see that game, man. Even though I think we're going to blow them out 5-0, but I still want to see the game. All right, let's go to commercial. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM's Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. Get the radio channel numbers and a link to listen to your favorite NFL, college football, or Major League Baseball team sent right to your smart device. Just go to SiriusXM.com/sports today and click Add to My Calendar. All right, guys. Do we or do we not have a technical difficulty? Because in our efforts yesterday to improve the show, my man Cold Coffee stopped by, and we were working on some stuff that I think you all will enjoy when we, polish it up and put it all out there. But please, if anything is wrong,
it may
always
just
communicate
be
with
YouTube
us. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, that's the important thing, or one of them.
It's just the music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they can hear us talking right now. Everybody
Yeah.
can hear it. It's just the music part.
Thankfully, our YouTube chatters, shout out to them, were responsive. I just asked them if they heard the music when we came back from break. Fortunately, they did not. But that, again, like what goes.
That's
that
probably
just
going to be
seems
something
the
we have to address.
But what
after.
scares me is I thought I heard Danny say they can't hear him. So does that mean they won't be able to hear Big Pretty?
That's a good point.
Ooh.
That's a really good point there.
So
We could always.
we have 3 guests today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just might be something that's going to affect YouTube.
What you mean?
At the end of the day,
The show will come out normal.
yeah, Danny is going to hear it, record it. It'll be fine. They can recap it off of that, but they won't have that part of it, YouTube.
He's still banking. it on
YouTube
his
won't
end.
have. YouTube
There's
won't be
nothing
able
we
to hear
can
the
fix right
interviews?
now. We just got to check a
What
little.
about that black thing?
We already moved that. Apparently
No, I
that
mean,
didn't
plugging
work.
it in. That didn't work.
No.
It'll be a rechanneling, which may be difficult to accomplish in a break time. In other words, but Danny's banking everything that is recorded as normal on his end. Correct, Danny, and doesn't affect anything in post production.
All right. Is Cold Coffee available to talk while we're?
I can reach out to him if you guys want
Okay.
to carry. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Let's do this though. Can we do our daily debate?
Yeah, if we want
Is
to
that
get that out of
possible,
the way
guys?
now, I'll start. Yeah, I can go ahead and start
Sure.
that. And, go ahead
Um,
and bank that.
Y'all
Yeah.
ready? Or?
It's recording.
All right, here we go. This is going to be a tough one.
I know.
This is going to be a really tough one because we have to give one of 2 answers. And, oh, man, I still don't know where I'm going with this one, but here we go. Arguably, Bellator MMA's 2 brightest prospects will fight in these next 2 weekends at Bellator 205 and 206. Which one will become champion first? AJ McKee or Aaron Pico?
Want me to go first?
And get this, they actually train together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Jeez.
imagine it's competitive it's competitive for them, but at the same time, they're just making each other better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead, Goose.
I'm going to go with Aaron Pico only because his wins are more destructive. And I think it's just harder and harder to play that whole grooming a fighter thing with a guy like that. So I'm going to go with him.
Okay. How about you, Dan?
Aaron Pico's, I think, the more name. A lot of that because of the hype, and not saying in a negative way. It's, just deserve it. But it's funny, McKee's been around longer, not just professionally when you look at the amount of fights, but even you look at McKee's amateur career, and you look at him right now. He's got a nice spot in Bellator 205, obviously coming up, and sure. Pico's going to be facing Leandro Higo, which is a nice step up for him, a real solid step up at Bellator 206 at the end of the month, so he's not too far behind. But I believe it said first, and I think that's a key word. Who's going to become champion first? So I'm going to go with McKee if we're going for first. We can argue for days on as far as their ceiling and where they're going to go, but who's going to get there first? I think McKee's got a bit of a lead.
All right. This one's tough, and I'll tell you why. First of all, Pico has what we all, I think most people, 90% say that strongest base is your wrestling.
Yeah.
So he's got not only the skills, but the drive of just how much those athletes are pushed to not break mentally or physically. Mentally, that's the important part. So he's got that. He came up just short from representing the United States in the Olympics, but he's like a world-class level type guy. Secondly, Bellator signed him early and made a big deal out of it, which leads me to believe they pay him a little bit more. But McKee has more of the superstar written all over him in terms of because he's flashy in the chains and he talks, whereas the other kid's more respectful. all of a sudden that could change quickly, and now all of a sudden he could be commanding bigger dollars, and he could just be their bigger star, regardless of their past. Also, Pico's been wrestling all his life, but guess what? McKee's been MMAing all his life.
Yeah.
This one's tough.
He's new
and
breed.
I think Dan said something key. Which one do you think will just become a champion first? And I think I have to agree with McKee. I think McKee's just. I mean, him headlining and Pico taking that first loss. I think it was like, whoa, okay, let's be careful with the future and subsequent matchmaking for this guy.
Right.
Whereas McKee he's just functioning. And then here's one other thing about McKee is when they came in the studio, you could tell. Whereas Pico still has a high ceiling. He'll continue to get better. I feel like McKee hasn't even hit that ceiling, but it has to do with Pico having the awesome work ethic that he does from wrestling. Whereas McKee, if he all of a sudden turns it on like his pops did, and he forces him to, then could he have a higher ceiling? So I don't know. He also seems like he could get distracted quicker, with cars and jewelry and things like that. Versus Pico, I think just seems more the grounded. So this was an excellent question.
It was a nightmare of a question. When I heard Dan actually read it to me, and I was like, dude, I don't know what.
So
really
McKee, is that what we all said? Because I just talked for like 10 minutes. So
I ended up going Pico.
Pico, okay.
But I totally understand where you guys are coming from.
Now, here's what is happening as of now. All right, there's still a few minutes left for you to vote if you want to throw your hat, into the center there. 69% are saying Pico, 31% are saying McKee. We'll see how this finishes out. We fast forwarded this a bit because of the technical glitch that we had, so the voting may shift a little bit, but that's where it's at right now. And I'm still gonna rack my brain, and who knows, maybe we'll tackle this one once they both fight and do it all once more. But kudos to Bellator for having both guys. All right, let's take one more break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM's Fight Nation 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We'll be talking to Justin Willis.
about your love drives a man insane. You broke my will.
Do what they say. Your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
Week 3 in fantasy football starts tomorrow, and the place to hear the advice and information from the experts 24 hours a day is Fantasy Sports Radio. Listen for news, injuries, player rankings, and game previews, plus hidden gems on the waiver wire your opponents don't know about. If you play fantasy football, the place to be is Fantasy Sports Radio, Series 210, XM87, streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. All right, our first guest of the day is Justin Willis. They call him Big Pretty. He's 7-1 overall, 3-0 in the UFC. He won earlier this year versus Chase Sherman, and I've been tracking this guy ever since he came to the studio, and you know, I haven't heard that there's any reason why he doesn't have a fight. Mm-hmm. And when you have a bright prospect like this guy who can do it all, UFC, you got to feature this guy, especially on one of these big cards that's coming up at the end of the year. Why am I not hearing of Justin Willis on one of those cards? Let's ask him, see what he thinks. What's up, Justin? How you doing?
What's cracking, man?
Not much. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George Goes and Dan. Justin, there's some big cards coming up. You need to be on one of these.
You did? Oh, yeah, man. The good thing is, you know, there's been names that have been fished around now as of, 2 days ago. So, you know, I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. Now it's time to pick between one of the two.
You were healthy.
The names, though.
You were healthy throughout this whole summer, right?
Yeah, man. I've just been building. That's all I've been doing, man. I've been working with, the number one jiu-jitsu guy in the world, one of them, and that's Yuri Samoas. And I just been building and getting better and working on my boxing, working on my wrestling, just becoming more all around to dominate even more. So I'm excited. That's it. I'm excited, man. I've been working.
Well, that is one positive. When you're not in a training camp, you're getting better. You work with all the different specialists, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, and so we can't wait to see all the different improvements. But what tripped me out a little bit was Andrei Arlovsky had fought Stefan Struve in March, and he beat him.
Man,
but since then, he had fought twice, and that was after your fight. So he's fought 3 times this year. You had only fought once, and he had fought twice since you fought. And since I help a lot on the rankings for USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie, it was kind of glaring. That, along with your posts on social media, pretty much asking for a fight, I just thought, what could it be? Maybe he's got a contract holdout, or is there something else?
No, there's no contract holdout. We've been in negotiation for contracts. This business stuff is crazy. I just want to fight. That's it. That's all. I want to get better, and I want to fight. It wasn't necessarily a contract dispute, none of that nature. It was more so matching me up with the right person to continue to build my career, on the upward projection that it's heading. So I need names.
Okay.
I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight average people. I don't want to fight, guys who are below me. I don't want to. No, I want guys that are getting me nearer to the belt. This fight and the next fight, after that fight, I'll be fighting for the title. Point blank, period. So I need people who can put me towards that direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's where it becomes more business.
So your update at the beginning of this interview was there has been some dialogue and a few names have been tossed around. You said you can't divulge those names, right?
No.
Okay. How about this? Can you tell us, are you fighting in 2018?
Yes.
Okay. And will you need a passport for your next fight?
That's a great book, because I know you guys already have suspicions of who it might be. I know you guys do. You guys are very intelligent guys. I've been around you guys. You guys are very perceptive. I understand and I respect it. I can't say that.
Oh, you can't say that. Okay. I figured that was one way of narrowing it down right there. But, they have Australia coming up, Milwaukee coming up. They have Toronto coming up. They have Las Vegas. So, yeah. All right. All right.
No, it's definitely December. It's definitely December, and it's definitely against a big name. So it's, yeah, I'm excited, man. I couldn't be more excited to actually have a camp. I've been in camp, essentially, but, to actually, get a chance to focus in and go shock the world again. Keep shocking the world.
Mm-hmm. Justin Willis.
No longer a shock, and I'll get his shit up.
Justin Willis is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. All right, Goes, what do you have for Big Pretty?
So, Justin, You said it is a big name. So
Man.
when you heard it, did it make you happy? Did you wish it was someone else? Was it the right opponent?
You know, anybody ranked ahead of me with a name is the right opponent. That's just like my philosophy now. That's the way it has to be. So, like, you know, anybody who has, I don't know what my ranking is now, but anybody who has a number that's lower than mine and has a name and has a following that I can essentially rob them of their following and rob them of their life, then, yeah, man, I'm excited. Like, I love to do this. I've been doing this since I've been a little boy. But I just want to make sure that I'm doing it for getting my worth the whole way through. So, and that's the key to this business. We all know that this is a business where, you know, worth is not always given because a lot of people don't even know their worth themselves. So, yeah, man, I'm excited, brother.
Now, this time period where you haven't had an opponent, did they give you an explanation as to why it took so long to get you to this point?
You know, I think that right now, with my teammate winning the heavyweight strap and my teammate retiring in March, also you have a litany of, you know, there's like a circus in the top 6 right now. So they're fighting their way to get to where they need to go. And I think that there hasn't really been, I mean, there has been a focus, but it's been less of a focus on the younger guys who are in the later half of the, you know, top 10. You know what I mean? So, but now they're essentially seeing that what I am, what I stand for, and my skill set, I could back it all up. So I'm just excited to go in there and show my improvements.
All right, we got our fight analyst, Dan Tom, here with us as well. Dan, what do you have for Justin?
Hey, Justin, were my ears playing tricks on me, or did you start off the interview by saying you dig?
You dig.
We got to bring that back. We got to bring that back, man. People that don't know that was real strong in like the 70s, and obviously, you know, you got the swagger. You got the swagger, big, pretty. And people who didn't know now know, and they're knowing your backstory, which thankfully, you know, you came on, you shared here when you were in studio with us. But I gotta imagine. I mean, listening to you talk, you understand that, like you said, that there's more to this game. You got to make sure you're getting your worth. And when you said you dig, I could totally picture. You know, Reebok's doing more custom work, guys, for a lot of fighters. I could totally picture whether it's Reebok or another clothing company getting behind Justin Willis with a you dig T-shirt.
I like it.
Yeah, me
you
too.
could even do the grave digging thing.
I'm the man in the UFC with the mojo. So, and I think people are starting to realize that in our day and age, in our society, you know, it's one of those things where when a brown man like myself, I don't like to use, like, you know, it's just reality, bro. So, like, when a brown man has swag, you know, or has personality where, you know, they kind of offshoot them because we're labeled as being cocky or something else, right? But then you have a Caucasian man who has plagiarized his whole swag throughout his whole career. I'm not talking about one essential person. I'm talking about overall. And they're seen as, he has the it factor. And we need to change that because there is nobody like me. I know that everybody who's around me, everybody who sees me, everybody who actually has a chance to talk to me understands this. So the world will soon realize this as well. And there's no more hiding. There's no more hiding me. There's no more none of that shit. It's time.
I like it.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that answer, Justin. And again, to reiterate what I said, you know, when you share your story, I think it only makes people, I would hope, appreciate your swagger, where you've come, what you've accomplished even more. So with that in mind and with that message you just said, as you make your way up the ranks, obviously you intend on doing. But as far as the message attached, whether it's involved in the, you know, I hate using the word marketing, but whether it's involved in that, obviously you want to put a positive take on that. But is this a message you really want to make sure you're getting out there as you go up the ranks?
What do you mean? What message of what?
As far as breaking stereotypes and breaking as far as, you know, negative stereotypes and opening eyes as far as that respect.
It's time. It's time, man. Like we got to stop the culture vulturing. You know, you know, it's return of the Mac. Hey, but so it's one of those things where originality, being, you know, who you are. This stuff has to is standing for what you stand for and not being ashamed to stand for what you stand for because some moron who's not taught, who does not read, who has a limited perception tells you you're wrong. No, man, you got to stand on your own two morals and keep going forward. Let the haters hate, baby.
There you go. All right, Justin Willis is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Again, 7-1 overall, 3-0 in the UFC. His last win was a unanimous decision win over Chase Sherman in the Atlantic City show back in April. He's telling us December is the return of Big Pretty. No names released yet, but we're
You got to take that page. Return of the Mac. Hey, forgot about that song. Return of the Mac, baby.
When do you think this fight booking will be announced? Are we close?
Monday. I have the battle. I have the contract. The battle agreement. I don't have the battle agreement. I got to check. Don't quote me on that one. But I definitely have the 2 names, and those 2 names are in stone. So I pick.
Well,
Sit back.
Hey, well, we respect that, Justin, but I just got one request back to the You Dig thing. Can you do one thing for Junkie Nation? Can you fit a You Dig somewhere in your post-fight interview? Because obviously you plan on having that post-fight interview. Can you fit in a You Dig for Junkie Nation there?
Man, you already know. You dig, and also point blank period. We're going to get it, baby. And that's just what it is, man. This next guy, he's fucked. He's in trouble. I'm coming for his head, his soul, everything. Man, I'm excited. That's all I can say. I'm excited to go in there and to perform. Pretty Picasso. You know what I mean? It's time.
There you have it. All right, Big Pretty. Well, hey, great to catch up with you. Thanks for the time as always, and we look forward to the announcement of the fight booking on Monday.
All right, brother. Have a great day, guys. And thank you very much for having me. And you guys are the best.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, you can follow Justin on Twitter at Big Pretty MMA. And Twitter, if you're listening, validate this guy. Where's his check mark?
Yeah, you dig?
He's one of the top heavyweights in the world. We need to get him that one.
Yep.
So, guys, let's play detective here. There's 4 shows in December. There's Adelaide, Australia, Toronto, Canada, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Las Vegas, Nevada. My question to him was, will you need a passport? So that was obviously to see if we could narrow it down to Canada and Australia. He didn't fall for it, and he laughed. He gave a laugh, so one could interpret it maybe, is it a guilty laugh or who knows what?
It's like $1 million man laugh.
Yeah, he's confident. He's confident and happy. So that's great to hear. But what do you think? He also said he wanted someone ahead of him, and we know Cormier has Lesnar. Miocic hasn't been accounted for, but I don't think it's him. Lewis has Volkov. Well, that would make no sense for them to announce that. Blades has Ngannou. Well, that would make no sense either. There's Overeem, Dos Santos. I don't think Hunt, although didn't Hunt say give me one more in Australia and that's it?
That would be really quick, though. But I guess he probably did come out unscathed.
Yeah, he didn't get his brain rattled. I mean, he just got choked out. So I could see that, and that is the name to catapult yourself over. Hunt would be thrilled because even though Justin Willis can wrestle, I think he knows Justin Willis would rather stand. So that might be appealing to Hunt. Tabura, Tuivasa. I mean, there's quite a few names to actually guess at. If it's Australia, if it's Canada, then you want to leave out Hunt and Tuivasa. Yeah, only because when they reference it, you know that's what they're looking at. But you want to leave out Hunt and Tuivasa if the guess is Toronto. And if it's later in the month, Vegas or Wisconsin, I mean, I don't know who it could be.
Yeah.
He left us. Maybe we should have tried to get one more clue.
That's a good teaser.
Yeah, maybe we should have went for one more clue. All right.
What would have been your next question? Height?
Well, if he said, yes, I need a passport, then I would have said, will you be going there early to acclimate yourself to the considerable time difference? And if he says, it's only 3 hours, baby, or it ain't that much, then I know he's in Toronto. And if he goes, yeah, I'm going 2 weeks early, then I know it's Australia. But if he says, I don't need a passport, then I know it's Milwaukee or Las Vegas. So I wasn't the best detective. I tried, and then he shut me down so early, and he was that laughter was so infectious that, All right. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Fight Nation 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
jail. The prison band was there, they began to wail. The band was jumping and the joint began to swing. You should have heard this knocked out jailbird sing. Let it rock. Everybody let it rock. Everybody in old cell block.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Big thanks to Justin Willis, UFC heavyweight. My guess, guys, by the way, I think Mark Hunt kind of makes sense. Hunt's looking for his last fight, and maybe that would be a nice co-main behind Tuivasa and Dos Santos. And if not, I don't know. There's Overeems out there. There's Alexei Olenek out there. But I really don't know, and he was very, very tight-lipped. All right, our next guest, not only was he a multi-weight class title holder at Bellator in the featherweight and bantamweight division, he also did that. He accomplished that by becoming a multi-weight class tournament champion. And those tournaments were really, really tough, man. Some good names were defeated along the way to these titles. His name is Joe Warren, and they call him the baddest man on the planet. What's up, Joe? How you doing?
Thanks for having me, boys. How you doing?
Great, man. Great to have you back. You're always a fun interview. Last time you were telling us some stories of you and Hendo in Japan, and you didn't know what the hell the rules were or what the hell you were doing, and we had a great time reminiscing with you.
Yeah, a crazy start to a career, but I guess that's how it starts, right?
Yeah.
It all started rolling. I haven't been able to get out of the way of it.
I wanted to take you back to that. As you, I'm sure, know, Norifumi Yamamoto, a.k.a. Kid Yamamoto, passed away a couple days ago. And I remember King Mo coming into the studio. You came with him. And you said, man, this guy's had the toughest start of any fighter out there, because you had Chase Beebe, the former WEC champ. You had Kid Yamamoto, a former Heroes champ. Bibiano Fernandez, the current one championship bantamweight champ. And then, all the other tough names like Pitbull and Georgie and Soto, and list goes on and on. But so Kid passed away, and you got to share, some time with him inside the confines of the Dream Ring out in Japan. I just wanted to get your thoughts. You usually speak very highly of your colleagues. Win or lose, you have a tremendous respect for everybody you compete against. But that had to have been a special fight for you, because not only did you fight him, you defeated him, and he was a massive name back in the day.
Yeah, when I started fighting, that was my second fight. So I had 2 fights in 1 month. So I was snowboarding in Aspen. Like I told you, got a call from Dan. He told me to get on a plane, and we flew to Temecula, and then 2 days later we flew to, 8 days later we were fighting in Japan. So I never put a glove on or a cup or anything. I never, fought anyone. So we flew there, and it was crazy. And we were there before, me and Mo, watching Dan's fight and Pride and stuff like that. And we remembered how big it was, so it was a lot of fun. And he was, his name was huge there. I knew Kid Yamamoto from wrestling. His dad was, a silver medalist in Olympics. Both of his sisters were world champs in wrestling. He was a state champ in Arizona. Mm-hmm. So I remember watching a lot. He was undefeated when I fought him. They talked about pound for pound, and all I would watch is him knocking everyone out. And there was just pictures of him everywhere overseas. He made over $1 million to fight me.
Wow.
I remember at that time that was a lot of money, for anyone to make. And, I didn't know I was going to fight him, and then he picked me after the second fight. I think I was supposed to fight Demetrius Johnson is my second fight. And he got beat in the Dream tournament, that tournament. And so he picked me, and we fought, and I just kind of verbally assaulted Kid. I got into his head so bad. He was a wrestler, and he thought he was going to knock me out. And I just, second fight, I just started talking a lot of trash, and, his huge press conferences. And he really introduced me to MMA. You know what I'm saying? Like, he introduced me to what being an MMA star was, from me being a world champ in wrestling, and it was a lot of fun. And he was really respectful, and his whole family have been close to me ever since. It was a really sad thing to hear a few months ago that he had cancer and that this was happening. But, those you can't really talk. It's one of the best MMA families or combat sports families in the game right now. Respectful, awesome. But it was a crazy fight. I remember watching. I'm just trying to remember it. I remember being in the ring and then him coming out to like a 10-minute walkout to like Empire Strikes Back, that and they showed him in there like 4 surgeries. Metal hand, metal elbow, metal knee. I'm like, what the? Am I fighting a robot? You know, like. So I tried to get. This is funny, but if you watch it, I try to get out of the ring. Okay, I try to leave the ring. I'm like, fuck this. I'm trying to tell my coaches. I'm like, I have a college degree. I'm trying to justify getting out of the cage to the ring to those guys. So I'm trying to get out, and they're pushing my head, saying, "You can't leave." I'm like, I'm not fighting this guy. And they're like, they're like, make some money. And they start screaming in my face, make some money. So I was like, all right, screw it. And he comes in the cage. He starts running around and shooting me with like a fake bow and arrow. And I never saw that before. I didn't understand that was a Muay Thai tradition. Then he tried to pray, grab my hands and pray, and I pushed him in the face, and the whole crowd just started booing me, and I'm like, oh, my God, what am I got myself into? And then it was just a brawl. He was a true warrior, you know what I mean? Like, he was, I was beating the living shit out of him, and he held on as tight as he could and kept fighting. He took some punishment that fight, and he, stud though, after I beat him, getting out of that ring, everyone was crying, okay? I'm talking every single person in that arena, all the announcers, the women, all the corner people, all crying because I beat them. I was like I was happy, but everyone else was sad.
Wow. Incredible. Lots to cover there.
Great guy, man. And
so let me ask you this.
Glad we lost him.
I think you said it already, but you guys were able to speak, whether it was immediately after the fight or just at some point, and there's always been respect since then. He understood that you were just trying to build a fight?
Yeah, he just the Japanese public couldn't believe that I never fought before. Okay, they thought I was lying.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that I came over and was lying to the Japanese public because I beat Chase Beebe and then beat Kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept telling them I was going to do it. And I remember King Mo, they were reading all the Mike Tyson quotes to me at breakfast. Okay, they're like, "Oh, you got to say this, this, and this," and I'm like, "You can't say that." So I got up on the stage, and he got in front of me, and I was saying like every Mike Tyson quote. I'm gonna whip your heart out and eat it. I'm gonna, I was just telling them all this stuff in front of everybody, and they're like, "You talk so much shit, but you've never fought before. Why?" And so they didn't believe me, and he was. I just remember weighing in and him pulling up in two 4-door Maseratis, jumping out, and I'm going, what the hell? I'm getting paid like $28,000 for this, and this guy's getting paid, $1.some million for me to beat him. I'm like, wow, I think I'll make some money in the sport.
Wow, man, good stuff there. And you're saying that at some point when he was walking in, you really felt, you said a robot, but what was it like? You felt like you were fighting the Terminator, like you had like a bionic arm or something like that?
Well, if you watch that, it's a little a promo thrown together, but it was a 10-minute walkout, and it was him in surgery getting a metal plate in his hand, him in surgery getting a metal plate in his elbow, him in surgery getting a metal plate in his knee. I'm like, what the frick am I getting? Is this really who I'm fighting? I'm like, no way. I'm like, I'm watching the thing going, they did it on purpose to scare people. And then, you walk down, there's 100,000 people, everyone's screaming, and they loved him. He was, he couldn't go anywhere in that country without getting hounded.
Yeah, he definitely was a superstar. All right. Joe Warren, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. We are looking back on his fight with Kid Yamamoto, May 26, 2009. Joe was already on the map representing our country as an international level wrestler, Greco-Roman, but now as he starts to get into MMA, he had an incredible start there, beating Chase Beebe and Kid Yamamoto. As you all know, Kid Yamamoto passed away September 18th, so a couple days ago. Anyway, so goes. Let me give it to you now. What do you have for Joe Warren?
Joe, after the fight, do you remember anything about any conversations you had with him or his people? I'm sure he had a lot of respect for you and what you just did.
Yeah, at the time he understood, so he knew who I was, from his family and from wrestling. It just, you'd rather, what I'm saying? He'd rather have a wrestler he's fighting instead of a striker at that point, or in that tournament it was like Imanari and Bibiano, and those guys could easily break off your leg, So he was thinking, I'll run through this wrestler that's never fought before. And we had a lot of great conversations. The guy's he's a professional. He was good at what he did. He knew how to sell the fights. I think I won that fight because of yellow card. I think I was putting it on him and he was stalling, and they gave him a yellow card in his own country. And I think I won that fight because of that. But he introduced me to the sport, and I was just back there doing the the New Year's Eve show, color commentating. He was there, and his sister and his whole family, and I got to talk to him. He looked really healthy. That was about a year ago at New Year's, but I didn't know that it was going to go this fast. I thought they might be able to do something for him.
Joe, at the time, I know you said you did your research and you knew about him as a wrestler, but could you fully appreciate what that victory meant later on, kind of learning a little bit more about what Kid meant in Japan?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the whole, I was used to, I hate to say this, they trained me at the Olympic Training Center to be the guy that goes overseas and kicks the shit out of somebody's country. And that's what I was doing. And this just, to me, felt like just a whole nother tournament, another world title championship for me. So I went over there and just tried to, bite down and throw that American flag at them, and it worked, and that's what I mentally was focused on. So I didn't know how great of a fighter he actually was, because my coaches, Mark Montoya, those guys at the time like Dan and Heath, they didn't want me to watch tapes because he was knocking everyone out. It was, a lot of the first year I never watched the tape ever because they didn't want me to see what I was about to fight, and so I didn't know how nasty he really was. All I did, I learned a lot of things that fight. First time I ever got kicked in the head. First time I, kicked me in the side of the head, and when you've never been kicked before, you actually get kicked in the back of the head. Your toes kick you in the back of the head. And so I turned around. It was like thinking someone threw something in and hit me in the head. I didn't know what a kick felt like. It was the first time I got kicked, and he kept drilling my knees. He was a tough fighter. He was not going to give up. I think I won with the knees to the butthole. Like, he was stuck in the guard the whole time, and I just kneed him in the rear end like 20 straight times. I think that's really how I won that fight.
Check out this card, by the way, that we're talking about. Minowa fought Bob Sapp. This is the one where Canseco fought Hongman Choi.
Yeah.
Right. Sokuju fought on that card. Musasi defeated Mark Hunt. Gegard Musasi, who now fights for Bellator, is the middleweight champion. He submitted Mark Hunt. Jay-Z fought Kawajiri. I remember that fight as well. Bibiano Fernandez was on that fight card.
Wasn't it Mayhem versus Jacare?
Yep. Yeah, that was the illegal kick.
That's when that legal kick to the head. I've never seen blood like that. It was the first time that I, first time being in a fight where I saw it. I was like, oh my God. But I mean, these are me. I've never fought before. I'm standing there going, are you kidding me? This is what I'm about to do right now? Are you and I'm going, damn, man. And he says, I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. And they're like, well, you can do it. Just pull the trigger, And I'm like, all right.
Jacare Souza and Jason Mayhem Miller were the main event. And remember the Japanese fight that was here the other day, Hideo Tokoro, he was on that fight card as well. So lots and lots of talent on the Dream 9 card. Joe Warren, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, former Bellator and featherweight champion. All right, Dan Tom, our fight analyst, what do you have for Joe?
Joe, you kind of touched on it as far as what your job was and what you were being trained for at the Olympic Training Center and your perspective. And like you were talking with Goes, I could completely understand. But I can appreciate how all that could be over your head, seeing the whole MMA space of things. But kind of focusing on the wrestling. Obviously, you were on a mission to, beat other countries and who they put in front of you. But I got to imagine wrestling also made you appreciate and understand other cultures that maybe you wouldn't otherwise understand. And on that note, can you maybe enlighten us to a bit of the attitude of Japan and wrestling? We stereotype Russia or Iran of being strong wrestling scenes, but Japan, maybe to Americans might not realize, they have a lot of strong roots in wrestling, whether it be from catch to their presence in the worldwide presence of amateur wrestling. Could you maybe explain to us on that as far as that and connection as to why?
Overseas, just like you said, depends on what country you go to. Depends on where you are in the world. With wrestling, Europe, Europe, Russia, Iran, Turkey, Cuba. These are, wrestling was the first, Greco-Roman was the first Olympic sport ever. So their grandfather's grandfather was an Olympic champ, and they're just really respectful, and they teach you, I hate to say it, they take the respect out of you, Americans do, at the Olympic Training Center. They teach us, to beat the hell out of these people and not to worry about anything else, and then we're better, okay? So I didn't really learn respect for these countries until I learned some jiu-jitsu, I'm being honest. Jiu-jitsu has a respect issue that they bring with their sport. They're trying to build an organization, trying to build a friendship, not just try to break a dude in half, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's where I came from. Japan has that same kind of respect to their athletes and their sports. They bow to everything. They understand wrestling. They're Greco-Roman, and the freestyle wrestlers are some of the best in the world. They're so driven and respectful that when you come into their country, they instantly know who you are. No other countries, they know really who you are from wrestling. Japan, they do. People stop you on the street. They follow not just me because I was a fighter, but they follow all of wrestling. Once they get involved into an athlete, they figure out everything about them. So it's just a respect issue over there. And I believe, wrestlers are taught to disrespect, to not respect anything, to kind of run through you and be the champion, whatever it takes. Jiu-jitsu is a peaceful sport. They want to make a friend. They want to build a community, and I learned a lot about peace and other things from my jiu-jitsu buddies. Daniel Aguiar, Ronnie Yaya, Alberto Crane, those guys. Just teaching me, Alan Teo, Henzo Gracie, just teaching me the peace that they have, their mindset. Like me and Henzo will talk about, like, what he thinks about before a fight and what I think about. It's night and day. It's like peace and love, and I'm thinking about ripping this fucker's head off and killing him and taking some money.
That would explain when I see the backstage footage of your fights and you're pacing back and forth like a lion ready to jump on his prey, and every possible F-bomb combination with shit, fuck, bitch comes out of your mouth. Yeah, that's what you're trying to do, right? You're out to destroy and kill.
Well, I'm a realist. I hate fighting, okay? It's terrible. I mean, I never want to do it, so I need to turn that switch and become a killer. And if you don't turn that switch right then you go to sleep. So I have to turn into that baddest man on the planet. That's why I say that, because I can mentally talk myself into do almost anything. And once you learn how strong your mind is, everything else is just fun, but I have to turn myself into that because I'm scared, and I'm a realist. It's a real, this isn't I can't get out of bounds, you understand? Mm-hmm. I can't stop this fight, and so I got to turn into a lunatic, go out there and take care of my family.
Joe, one last thing for me. I believe you mentioned that you said you had Mark Montoya even back then in your corner for that fight with Kidd. Was that correct?
No, I screwed up. It was right before. It was Dan Henderson and Keith Sims and those guys. That was right before me and Mark. Like, I flew home in LAX. Bjorn signed me to Bellator, and then me and Mark started working because I needed a striking coach in Denver.
I got you. And just one last thing on that real quick. I got to imagine Mark, who we've had on this show before, I think he's an underrated coach and cornerman. I got to imagine he's a good balance for you with the mindset you said you just have. And one thing I like about Mark is the way he talks to fighters in the corner and keeps them calm and dialed in. I got to imagine you guys mesh well together in that regard.
Yeah, me and Mark Montoya, I mean, I've been telling you guys this for years. I've had people talk to me nonstop about why you working with Mark. I mean, he's the best in the business. Underrated because he doesn't have those UFC champs yet, which he will soon, but he's the best in the business. I mean, he understands. He doesn't try to change me as a fighter, as a person. He just tries to, make me look a little better, try to help my striking, things like that. We're fighting again November 30th for Bellator, and, this guy is, brought me to a whole nother level. Like things are working now that I never thought I could ever do before. And this is just because he's peaceful and takes the time with me and, lets me learn. And it might take a long time for some of this technique to sink into a lot of these athletes. And he gives that time.
Do you have your opponent yet?
You know me. I'm like the only fighter that doesn't give a shit. I sign bout agreements all the time with no fighters.
Oh.
Me, it's a fight. So I sign these bout agreements, and then they tell me, like a month out, who I'm fighting.
Okay, so that's really all you know right now is the date, but you don't know who yet.
No, Bellator, they want to keep Joe Moore and hold him down for some reason. I'm still hungry and looking forward to fighting still. I'm not dead, as everyone thinks I might be. And I guess I'm old, but I've never had injuries. I'm never hurt, so just moved to Telluride, Colorado with the family and took like a month off, and everything's back to normal. Weight's light. I moved my coach Bob Forrester into town, and so we're excited to maybe throw a few of them in, this year, not just 18, but in the next 12 months.
All right, my man. Well, hey, we look forward to that, and thank you for stopping by and reminiscing a little bit about your fight with Kid Yamamoto. I know he was a friend of yours, so we extend our condolences for the loss of your friend and fellow competitor.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me. Just let me know when you need me again.
All right, thank you, Joe. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
That's the baddest man on the planet right there, Joe Warren. Give him a follow on Twitter at Joe Warren MMA. We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Fight Nation 93.
You know you make me wanna shout, kick my heels up and down, throw my hands.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Every NFL game is on SiriusXM. Tomorrow night at 8:20 Eastern, it's Thursday Night Football as the Jets take on the Browns. For a full list of the game times and channel listings, go to SiriusXM.com/NFL schedule. All right, 2 guests down, 1 more to go. Big thanks again to Justin Willis, UFC heavyweight, and Joe Warren, Bellator bantam and featherweight. Now we're going to be talking to Adam Piccolotti, who is also part of the Bellator stable. He fights at the lightweight division. He'll be fighting James Terry at Bellator 206 on September 29th. That's that huge card out in San Jose that's got a super fight with Gegard Mousasi defending his middleweight title against Rory McDonald, who's their welterweight champion. Quentin Jackson and the finger-wagging Vanderlei Silva, they're on the card. Andre Korshkov and Douglas Lima, they're running it back. They had a great fight out a few years ago, or I think it was about that long ago. Aaron Pico, Kerry Melendez, they're back as well, as is fellow Peruvian Gaston Bolanos. All right, Adam Piccolotti and James Terry are also featured on this card. One of the two joins us now on the hotline. It's Adam Piccolotti. What's up, Adam? How you doing?
What's going on, guys? Doing well. How you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for joining us again here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I'm not sure we talked to you after your win over Carrington Banks, but that was a great win.
I don't think
and more than anything, it's funny because in MMA, it's worse than NFL. A couple of losses in the NFL, and a team can still bounce back and get into the playoffs. And in MMA, it seems like because there's so long in between fights, fans, media, they can write you off. You know, you started 9-0, then you went to 9-2. And I remember in the lead up to Carrington Banks, he was a favorite, and not many people were giving you a chance. I wanted to ask you, how great did that win feel? And did you also feel like it was a big F you to all the doubters who thought that maybe you had already peaked?
Yeah, I love giving F you to doubters. It was a great win. It was one of those things where I knew I could beat that guy, just as I know I can beat all these guys, and it was just me going out there and actually doing my thing, and it felt great.
Did you get that much better from when you were 9-0 coming off the Brandon Gertz fight, or did you just dig deeper and were you able to execute what you've always been able to do, like, you know, in the gym and in training?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I've definitely been improving my skills over those past year and a half, 2 years, and I think the big thing was really stepping in and performing the way that I practice. You know, really kind of stepping up and doing me, and not letting the lights or nerves or game plan or anything like that get to me. Just kind of actually performing the way I should be.
Whether the fight was on the feet or it was on the ground, it just always seemed like you were one step ahead. Did you also up your conditioning, thereby giving you the ability to just step on the gas nonstop and transition, or did all this just come from, you know, every time you fight, you gain more experience and you feel more comfortable?
Definitely both again. My condition has been stepped up. Although I've always tried to take my career as professionally as possible, you know, I've been hitting new levels with each fight camp. But also, gaining those experiences of fighting experienced guys and kind of feeling the horrible feeling of defeat and just being more motivated than ever, you know. Like, I've always wanted to win, but, you know, kind of going through those adversities put me in a different mind state. Yeah,
no doubt. That was a great win. And now Carrington Banks is kind of like in that situation you were in early part of 2017. We'll see how he bounces back. I think he's a great fighter. I thought it was a great win for you. And anyway, but obviously someone wins and someone loses, and now you got James Terry ahead of you on a big card, so we look forward to that. All right, let me turn it over here to Goes. Goes, what do you have for Adam Piccolotti?
Adam, outside from maybe the usual suspects, teammates, coaches, in that rough stretch, that rough time for you, was there anybody outside of that circle that helped you turn things around or maybe pointed something out to you?
Well, I keep my circle small, you know, so outside the circle doesn't exist too hard for me. It was more just, you know, spending time with my family and and knowing that, you know, I have to fight, I have to win for these people. Like, I'm always fighting for myself. I'm a competitor deep down inside, but I think having the motivation to really, like, provide for me and my girl and to make my parents proud and stuff like that, I think that might be an extra little motivating factor, but it's not necessarily anything that anybody said. It's definitely within.
This is a pretty big card that you're on. A lot of people are excited to see it. Your opponent that you have in front of you right now, have you already, I'm not sure if you're a big film guy, but the film that you have looked at, have you found the things that you want to exploit already in that matchup?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's plenty of areas that I feel that I can exploit on him, and kind of like I always say, it's going to be kind of up to them. I'm going to go out there and dictate the pace and dictate the tempo, and you know, if he wants to take some bad shots, if he wants to, you know, open himself up to get taken down, you know, that's going to be kind of reactionary depending on him. But, you know, we got a pretty strong game plan, and I feel super well-rounded this fight more than ever. So I'm ready to go wherever the fight takes place.
What kind of overlap was there, by the way, with you guys at AKA? Is he still there, and have you guys trained a lot, if so?
No, we have actually never trained together.
Okay.
I haven't even seen him at AKA. You know, I think the times when he was there was kind of when I was there less frequently.
Gotcha.
So, you know, some years ago. The overlap more so comes in, like, all the people that we mutually know.
Right.
You know, he was coaching wrestling at CSA, where I'm doing a lot of my striking training now, and obviously he was at AKA and with Kong, and kind of goes back with all those guys. So everybody that I know kind of has known him at some point in their career too. So that's kind of where the only overlap comes.
Adam Piccolotti is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's a Bellator lightweight. He'll be facing James Terry at Bellator 206 on September 29th. All right, let's turn it over to the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Oh, by the way, folks, on this card, the fights will be available on DAZN, so you got to get on it. And now's a good time to do it because they have a 1-month special, and you can get the Anthony Joshua fight. You can get Bellator, a couple of Bellator cards. Don't forget, after this one in October, it's back-to-back days where they'll have the semifinals of the Heavyweight Grand Prix. So now's a good time to exploit those 30 days. Although something tells me with everything DAZN's racking up, I think it's just going to be a part of our lives, man. $9.99, you got to step it up. They got soccer, they got boxing, they got MMA. So there you have it. All right, Dan, what do you have for Adam?
Hey, Adam, you know, you were just talking about overlap, and we actually were talking about AKA yesterday, you know, as far as gyms, we like to see stories. The UFC is doing documentaries, for example. And I brought up AKA because they just have such a crazy, you know, lineage going from way back. But, you know, super gyms are always kind of in the topic. So I was just wanting your take, Adam, as far as, you know, what are some of the pros and cons as far as you coming up in your career with having such, you know, guys like Khabib Nurmagomedov or, you know, these other guys that people might not know, like Islam Mamedov, to work with. And you know, like you said, with James Terry, you may have to, you know, face some of these guys down the road or any of that. Can you lay out any of the pros and cons of entering that kind of a situation?
Yeah, I think super gyms in general are, kind of a touchy subject. Like, you got to be a little bit careful. There's so many people in there that it is possible to get kind of lost in the shuffle. Through the years, I've been blessed enough to have my coach, Raul Castillo, always, you know, being there for me as my mentor, as my brother, basically. And, you know, that's kind of where my base and my background comes from. And we've made the trip to AKA, in order to get contact with these guys like Khabib and all the other monsters that are out there. So I think it's really important to have a foundation, to have a base, and maybe, you know, just being at that super gym from day one, you know, it could work out if you get eyes on you, or, you know, you could kind of look past, you know, and to no fault of anybody, there are just so many guys there, you know. So for me, AKA has been just such a blessing. You know, I commute about an hour every day, but, you know, at least I didn't have to move. At least I didn't have to fly nowhere, you know. Like, it's such a great gym and so many good partners in there that it really allows me to just kind of test my skills on a daily and a weekly basis.
Awesome. And one last thing for me, you know, you're the featured lightweight fight on the card, clearly, that night. But, you know, headlining UFC or Bellator 206 is Gegard Mousasi versus Rory McDonald. I was just curious, Adam, what's your opinion on that matchup? Do you have any prediction on that one?
man, I've always been a huge fan of both those guys. You know, I would say, like, I've always been a Rory guy, but I've always been a Mousasi guy as well. I kind of see it going towards Roy's favor. I think he's just such a smart tactician, you know, and I really connect with that style. So I'm probably going to lean towards Roy in a razor thin fight, whether it's a finish or a decision. You know, it's really hard to say, but it's going to be very closely contested, and I look forward to it, like pretty much the rest of the world is.
Adam, so you're from Half Moon Bay?
Yes, sir.
And that's where Mavericks is?
Yep. Right down the street.
You know what I didn't know was I took a drive down there, and I thought there'd be a point, kind of like the pipeline in Hawaii or whatever, where you could oversee from a cliff or somewhere and see this. But what I found out is once you're there, you got to get on a boat, right? And to get to Mavericks?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, there's a point, but there's also a military radar base right there, so you can't actually walk out to it.
Right.
There's some like local paths that go kind of close, but yeah, it's really hard to get out there and see. Like, to really get a good view, the best way is a boat.
Oh, okay. And have you surfed?
I surfed, you know, growing up and stuff like that. Obviously, everything's been on the back burner since the MMA career.
Did you ever do Mavericks?
No, never to that level. I've always, you know, just messed around at the small local jetties and the Montserrat State Beach and, you know, the little areas.
Plus, in your neck of the woods, isn't that a great white shark territory?
Ooh, it's super sharky out there. You know, I find it harder and harder to put my wetsuit on as I get older for whatever reason. I guess I'm becoming more of a coward in that sense.
Yeah, I don't think I'd put one out either. I'd be one of them fat seals, so I don't think I'm putting on a wetsuit either. The shark would go, yummy. We got ourselves a meal here. Anyway, all right, Adam. Hey, it's great to catch up with you. Congrats again on the Carrington Banks fight. I know that was a big win for you at a crucial time, and it was really, really a fun fight to watch. And I look forward to this whole card as well as your fight with James Terry. So thanks again.
Right on. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right. Take care. We'll see you. All right. That is Adam Piccolotti. So let me give you some info here on the Twitters. Adam can be followed just like his name, at Adam Piccolotti. I'll spell it out, A-D-A-M. And then he's got 2 C's and 2 L's. So it's P-I-C-C-O-L-O-T-T-I. Joe Warren, at Joe Warren MMA. Justin Willis, at Big Pretty MMA. Those have been our guests today. Goes is at the Goes. Dan Tom is at Dan Tom. I'm at MMA Junkie George.
Dan Tom MMA.
Sorry. You're right. At Dan Tom MMA. And then our producer Danny is at Danny Otto. All right, guys. Let's we got to do one more break, right, Danny?
One more.
All right. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Fight Nation 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Well, that'll be the day.
Blah, blah. Here are those two dummies, George and Goes.
Every NFL game is on SiriusXM. Tomorrow night at 8:20 Eastern, it's Thursday Night Football as the Jets take on the Browns. For a full list of game times and channel listings, go to SiriusXM.com/NFL schedule. Also, this is on my own. This is not because of SiriusXM or the NFL, but apologies for bringing you such a terrible game with lowly teams. Yeah, I thought the Jets were for real, and I bet them, and I got pants the other day. And
Did
this
they
whole
play
Browns
Miami?
thing, yeah, Miami. This whole Browns thing, everyone's really psyched on them, but I still don't see it.
They
Because
played
Pittsburgh's
well
not that
in
good,
both losses.
apparently.
They're still
They're 0-2,
better
and
than
they're
they
a
should.
wreck. Who knows what? All right, so we did everything we needed to do, and we averted that crisis. Now that we have a quiet moment, I want to offer my belated, but in no way, in any way, because of the delay, is this anything personal? But I was alerted actually over the weekend by Pam in North Carolina, who, by the way, her and her friend Sam, one half, or they're the belly dancers that come out that listen to the show. Spam, yeah. That DJ Tony's mom had passed away.
Oh, wow.
And then I was let know again. And on these last couple shows, as we were running out of time, I just didn't want to say it and spit it out, and that's it. But
yeah.
I've met DJ Tony here at the studio, and then once when we were driving up in Northern California, Hal had actually flown in, and we had a nice dinner. And nice guy, man. They started the radio podcast AMP, and he's a frequent caller of the show, so he's a good guy in my book, you know. But apparently this was unexpected, and I don't have many details, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him. But Tony, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. In terms of a recent loss that I also had, one of my best buddy's daughters passed away. But, wow, that's just terrible, terrible news. And, again, belated a little bit on the condolences. But I just wanted to, I guess, express my feelings without feeling like we were rushing against the clock or anything like that.
We're thinking of you, though.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, guys. Wow, that's news to me as you just said it. Shout out to Tony, man. Nothing but a nice guy. All my experiences, because I met him in person here too in the studio, and great guy, man. So shout out to him. And this got to imagine be a tough time.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, did you see McGregor? Conor McGregor. He put out. All I read was the blurb, but then once I read the story, thanks to Junkie, he basically said the press conference will be open to the public. And of course, retweets and everything. Because he's got so many millions of followers on both Instagram and Twitter, you know, it started picking up steam. But
Yeah.
I went over to our website just to read up on it a little bit. And even though I'm sure that's what he would prefer, it doesn't appear that's what's going to happen. Because he also jokingly said that the ticket, he said the cost of admission is a bottle of his brand new proper number 12 whiskey. 2 bottles gets you to the front of the line. McGregor said his entourage will take measures to ensure access under the condition despite the UFC's wishes. Of course, again, he's joking around here.
You know how
But
many
Conor-
people are going to show up
I
with
know.
that, though?
I know.
You know what's funny? I actually before I saw the tweet, I ordered 2 bottles yesterday. So
Did you?
hopefully I'll get
Well,
those.
now you just got to get to New York.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be empty or full. We'll see. We'll see how they make it there.
The ticket for entry is a bottle of proper whiskey, but the 2, like Dan got, gets you to the front of the queue, and then he says, "My soldiers will be outside, making sure this rule is strictly adhered to at Radio City Hall." Excuse me. That's how he wrote it. UFC 229 press conference. But amazing how just a little finger point of what's going to happen, you know, or a couple taps on a button and a post, and next thing you know, it's out. Yeah, now people were already making plans. Hey, let's take half a day. Let's get over there. But as far as we know, this is close to the public. You can go to Times Square and watch it, but you cannot go to Radio City Music Hall is officially what it's called. What's that, Gus?
I said you can't. You can watch it. You just can't ask a question.
Right.
or-
Yeah, we broke down that. We broke down on yesterday's show what that experience might be like with the New York factor involved. But Hey, let me ask you something from yesterday's show. It's more apropos for today's show. It just said Joe Warren on. Did you guys finalize your Mount Rushmore for Japanese MMA?
You have.
I don't know if we
write
had
it down. I think we're all going to be able to agree on this one. I think.
Okay, let's hear yours.
Okay, I think Megumi Fujii. I had Takanari Gomi in mind. Kazushi Sakuraba. It's the last one that I couldn't really pin down. I went back and forth with Kid Yamamoto and Kazuo Masaki. There can be a yeah.
How about you, Dan?
That's where I left it.
It was tough because, the Fujii ones kind of got me because not just, to be politically correct to get a female in there, but, she really was a pioneer for females, not just Japanese females. So I could see an argument there because I was kind of double stacked with Yamamoto and Gomi. And
Yeah, I think either Yamamoto or Gomi. I don't know.
Can't
that
have
you
them
can
both?
include
it
both.
is
They're
different.
both pioneers in their weight classes,
Mhm.
and they both have two different titles. But one was like a
One was over like
Superstar.
kickboxing, wrestling. The other one just really was the face of Pride for a while.
the face.
Gomi? Hell
I don't
yeah.
know about the face.
I'll take
Fireball Kid, the rascal.
of the lower weight class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
Cheetos.
mine. I'll go against Go. I not that I'm against Fuji. I just laid out why he should be good. But even though it's double stacking Gomi, because he was probably of all the people on the Mount Rushmores the most to get American fans and stuff as far as to identify it. They may have known about Japanese MMA before Gomi or during Gomi's reign and had other guys, but Gomi was a guy that you kind of tied yourself to, right? It was easy for American fans, or if you're like, hey, I'm sure back in the day when you guys had people over to stay up late, if it was a Gomi fight, I'm sure you weren't too worried about a casual not enjoying it because he had that to him. Whereas Yamamoto would probably edge him out if he had to pick between them, because not only does he have the carrying the flag for the lighter weight classes, but Yamamoto also had the superstardom of dating a supermodel and being known in Japan and tattoos and that bad boy thing, all the stuff to go along with Yamamoto. I will have both of them on there. Of course, Sakuraba, I'm a big catch wrestling guy and what he ties in, and being the Gracie killer and just his part in history. I think he's going to be the common guy on there. And like I said, you got to go back to Pancrase, guys, before what started the scene. Kind of going from the catch wrestling shows to Pancrase to MMA and mixed martial arts, the whole kind of lineage. And, Masakatsu Funaki, I mean, you got guys like Josh Barnett saying that guy was the scene of Pancrase and the people crediting him. There's other names of Japanese guys in that time period you can get to, like Kondo or other guys that were around in that period. But when people I look up to that are really knowledgeable about that scene say Masakatsu Funaki is the guy, that's the guy. I feel like that era's got to be represented because Pancrase, at that time, who else was doing stuff? It was only Brazil's Vale Tudo at the time, that underground, so to speak, scene there, and no one else in the world was doing stuff. So I think that has to be represented.
Yeah, I like Sakuraba, and you both had him.
It's got to be on there.
Yeah.
Don't give me a list that doesn't have them on.
Yeah.
I also like the Funaki. I think eventually when Hickson was going to fight for the $1 million, it was going to be Sakuraba. Well, I still want to go back to something. Musaki did accomplish the Pride Grand Prix that he won.
Yeah, he'll be my honorable mention. I still stand by that yesterday.
That's a solid accomplishment.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It may. Yours a lot of it. Yours has to do a lot of it with pioneering, right?
Yeah, and it just ties in. I mean, the Japan Pro Wrestling and the wrestling. And
What do we
how
consider
big they're-
Sexyama? He was Korean
Half
and
and half.
Japanese.
Yeah, he was both.
Does he qualify, or we need full blood here?
It's funny. I would have maybe forgave him just because he brought a lot of attention and people associate him with that scene, and he fought in their mainstays like the K1, the Dreams, right, and sort of stuff. But again, he's a Korean-born guy at the end, and especially the last years of his career and to the relevant years, which is now because he's not retired, he's associated and even been going by his Korean name. So I figure that takes him out of the standing for me.
Yeah.
No offense, Korea. I love Korea. I love some bokugi and meat jun.
That's a tough one.
Getting hungry now.
Sakuraba for sure. I think Kid for me. And then Fuji had an incredible run, but when it mattered most, she came up a little bit short.
But for
Gomi
a long time, she
was a face, but I feel like once again,
Frank Shamrock labeled Funaki the golden boy of Pancrase. Guy Metzger called Funaki hands down the smartest and most skilled fighter in Pancrase, next to Ken Shamrock.
No matter what, Pancrase is still labeled as MMA. You know what I mean? Like if you look at Boss Ruden's MMA record, it will include the fights in Pancrase.
Yeah.
So you have to put Funaki in there. That's I can only come up with 3. I feel like Gomi or Fujii.
Nah.
I think it's Misaki then. I think just Misaki won when it mattered most. Misaki.
Dude, go back and revisit that Misaki fight when
Kid and Funaki.
Go back and revisit that Misaki fight when he dropped down to welterweight for the first time and fought Paul Daly. It's the only time you see Paul Daly shooting for takedowns in a fight. He's getting outstruck. Misaki's just walking forward and countering him.
And what about the young guy now? I keep forgetting his name. Horiguchi. I think he's only lost to Demetrius, right?
But I think we're talking
and
about,
I think at
like,
some point, if we revisit this, he could be one of those names. Because coming up short against Demetrius is not as bad as the fights that Gomi came up short again. I don't know.
Whenever I do lists,
it's a great question.
Whenever I do lists, I live out recent guys. But you know what? Why I'm glad you brought up Horiguchi is because the whole time I'm thinking now, especially with Crazy B and their lineage, they used to be Killer B, and when I would study these guys, like these Japanese guys, it was funny. Like there was such reverence, whenever they were doing their gym photos, whether it was at Crazy B and whether or not Yamamoto was in the pictures with them or not. There's always this respect, or even if Yamamoto wasn't there, like they'd have the hashtag, right, like representing him. This is dating back my last couple of years of just study to show how much reverence the guy commanded even before he died, and even though he wasn't active. I think it would be so cool, like if Horiguchi comes out in some kind of like shorts or like Yamamoto's old shorts and really kind of carries that on his back, as the next Crazy B guy.
Maybe Gomi just came over too late to the UFC. Kind of like Crow Cop a little bit.
Yeah.
Because nobody would say Crow Cop wasn't the man. You know what I mean? But if anybody just watched Crow Cop from when he came over to the UFC, they go, well, he was all right. But you'd have to factor in what he did in Pride.
That's true.
Because that open weight Grand Prix is, that's respectable. That's like winning a belt nowadays.
It's true.
Yeah.
And Gomi had 2. Actually, he was on my number 3 for top 5 lightweight winning streaks. Because he had 2 winning streaks. He had that first one in Shuto that won it for a while. And there were some decent names in there for the time, but it was so early, right? But then that Pride run was like Half Gracie. And remember, Jens Pulver made his debut in their battle. That whole run there, like that was, I think, like what you said, George. Maybe that probably was his last like solid run when you look at hindsight, right?
Right. Frank Shamrock, Tito Ortiz, they're open to a future encounter. I guess we got to start getting used to that one, right? If you got new players like a De La Hoya, I think there's going to be checkbooks to be, with checks to write, and they're going to look for fighters who have names. We'll see. I guess let's see how Tito and Chuck plays out before you sign me up for Shamrock and Tito. Melvin Manhoff and Cheetah and Jaquani. Now that should be fun. Bellator 210, November 30th. All right, I can hear the music. We got to start wrapping up. So thanks to Adam Piccolotti for his time, as well as Justin Willis and Joe Warren. Tomorrow we'll have Paul Felder and Douglas Lima, and Goes is working on some other stuff behind the scenes.
Yankee Sudo? No? Nakamura?
I could see an argument for a guy like Yankee Sudo, but yeah, I don't know.
Had Kyle Luna won that fight, like in early UFC, that would have been a statement.
Get rid of the BJ.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. All right, we gotta go.
Yeah.
For Danny and Danny Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out and be a champion, and go out there and win the damn game, man. You.